back. The ABC has been slammed for its coverage of the 9 p.m. New Year's Eve fireworks in Sydney, with a lot of Australians taking issue with what they called the woke during the event. The theme of the first fireworks display was Calling Country, said to be a celebration of land, sea and sky created by Indigenous artists. The national broadcaster also included, of course, a welcome to country at the beginning of the program. Joining me now is Director of Research at the Institute of Public Affairs, Morgan Begg. Morgan, the 9 p.m. fireworks is meant to be for kids and families. Really, did they have to have political messages during all of that? And might I add, at 7:30, they had a smoking ceremony as well, of course. Is all of this stuff necessary just to see in the new year? Let's just have fireworks.
Oh, exactly right. I mean, and New Year's Eve, it's a very simple idea. You know, people are in a mood of celebration. They're coming together to say farewell to one year and welcome in the next. It's actually quite a unifying kind of occasion. But of course, the ABC would not let an opportunity go to waste to proselytise their own ideology. And it's exactly this sort of thing that's killing the ABC. In isolation, we wouldn't be talking about this. But every day on ABC TV, ABC Radio, and on their online applications, they're doing this sort of thing. And people, and the results are obvious. You know, people are no longer tuning into the ABC. People no longer feel that the ABC represents their values. And that's the point. The ABC doesn't seek to represent the community. They seek to lecture the community. The IPA research found in the 2024 financial year that the ABC had spent upwards of $21 million just on audience research and promotions, trying to find an audience to which it could spread its message. But they forgot one very basic thing, which is that you may be able to force Australians to pay for the ABC, but you can't force people to watch it. And that's why the ABC's relevance is in free fall.
Yeah, and of course, the fewer viewers and listeners they have, the more money they demand from taxpayers, as if just continuing to throw money at things will change our viewing habits. I don't know why they need to spend that much money to work out what we want to watch. We just want to watch entertainment without having political messaging shoved down our throats. I want to get your thoughts, staying on this theme, on an interesting column from American author Lionel Shriver, in which she argues that there are growing signs now across the West that universities and businesses are finally seeing through this woke agenda. In a piece for The Times, Ms. Shriver writes that, quote, across the non-left media world, it's now an article of faith that Donald Trump's emphatic victory is a woke watershed. I've heard a lot of my friends say this as well. Do you agree with her analysis? Does the election of Donald Trump represent a turning point? We've reached peak woke, and now we're going to start to get back to some normality, I suppose.
I think it could be correct. There's no doubt that in the American election that the Democratic Party represented the politics of woke, the identity politics, the critical race theory, the gender theories, and that Donald Trump's victory was, in a sense, a referendum on those ideas. But it's not just an American story. You know, what happens in America is so often flows through to the rest of the Western world, and that's especially the case in Australia. I think the question for us in Australia is 2025 year one of the post-woke era? And one thing that we should always be cautious of is beginning to celebrate when there's still a lap left in the race. You know, Australia had its woke watershed as well in October of 2023. The Voice referendum asked Australians whether they would support a change to the Constitution in which separate legal and political rights would be assigned to Australians based on their race. And it was defeated in a landslide. It was conclusive proof that the politics of division were actually a minority position in this country. The problem is the same people that wield economic, political and cultural power in this country that endorsed The Voice are still wielding that power now, and they're still committed to making those changes. We will only secure this opportunity to move past woke if people become active and they become involved and they demand from their leaders or become leaders themselves that demand an end to the politics of division.
Yeah, you're right. And Lionel Shriver makes this point in her column that even though the genuine populists might be turning against woke, many of those in positions of power have a vested interest in keeping it going because of financial gain and their own positions. So it's only when people start to really speak against it and continually that those things change, and when people, of course, take up those positions of power and bring back a sense of normality. It's going to be interesting to see what the election of Donald Trump means for America and how that flows through to Australia. I know Peter Dutton, with his decision to only stand in front of the Australian flag, clearly he's read some of the signs, as you said, from the referendum. It'll be interesting to see where Australia goes in the next 12 months in that regard. I appreciate you joining me tonight. Happy New Year, and all the best to you and your loved ones for
Happy
2025.
New Year to you, James.